Now, here's the interesting thing. If you're a coach or you're a consultant, a creative entrepreneur, or a service provider, you're likely building both a personal brand and you're building your business brand, whether you realize it or not. Here's the thing. Your personal brand builds trust, and your business brand builds scalability. People may be drawn to you, the individual, but they buy into what you offer. To transform your business into a brand that truly shines, well, you're in the right place. My name is Summer Vega, and I am thrilled to have you here. With over 25 years of experience from leading communications teams to building my business from scratch, I've seen it all. Setbacks, success, and everything in between. And guess what? I'm here to spill the beans on what it truly takes to build and sustain a brilliant brand. So whether you're just starting out or looking to revamp your existing brand, you'll find golden nuggets of wisdom right here. We'll dive deep into strategies, mindset shifts, and nitty-gritty details that make brands extraordinary. Stick around, because Brilliant Brands Academy is where we believe that every entrepreneur has the potential to create something truly exceptional. And together, we'll turn that potential into reality. So hit the subscribe button and let's get started on this exciting journey to brand brilliance. Welcome back to Brilliant Brands Academy podcast, the place where strategy meets storytelling to help entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and change makers build brands that get seen, shared, and sold. I'm your host, Summer Vega, and today we're diving into a topic that so many of my clients and so many of my listeners have asked about. That is, what's the difference between personal branding and business branding, and how do I balance the two? If you're building a business and you're also trying to establish yourself as a thought leader, or if you already are your own brand, it is very crucial to know that these two types of branding can work together without overshadowing one another. So I want you to grab your notebook or grab your notes app, because we're about to get strategic. Now, let's start with definitions. First, what is personal branding? Personal branding is all about you, your personality, your expertise, your values, your voice. It's how you show up in the world and how you build trust with your audience. Think of people like Oprah. Think of people like Gary Vee, also Issa Rae. These are the people who've built businesses and they built empires that are powered by the strength of their own personal brands. In fact, just saying the three individuals that I said, Oprah, Gary Vee, and Issa Rae, if you are familiar with those individuals, you can almost already think about their businesses that gave them the stage that they have right now. And you now see how their businesses have indeed grown into these empires and are profiting well, making money, running like a well-oiled ship, scalable, all of the things that we all aspire to do. If you want to grow and expand your business, they're inspirational in terms of examples of people who've done just this. And you can also think basically their business brand, and you also can think of them in their personal brand. Both their business and their personal lives have a space that's separate from one another, yet at the same time, it's cohesive together, if that makes sense. So let's think about your business branding. So once again, let me back up. Remember, personal branding is all about you, who you are, your personality, your expertise, your values, your voice. It's how you show up personally in an authentic way to your audience. Now, on the other hand, your business branding is about the entity. It's about your business name, it's your logo, your mission, your services, and even your customer funnel and your customer experiences and the things that you offer that are independent of you as an individual. So think of brands like Apple, think of Nike, or you can even think of smaller businesses like Canva or let's think Elf on the Shelf. Smaller brands or bigger brands, they all have, in a sense, their own identity. And even if you don't know the founder of those companies, like if you can't think of who founded Apple, Nike, Canva, Elf on the Shelf, or any business that we buy from, you still trust that the business is doing a great job because they have a consistency in their branding, their systems, and just how they do business overall. Here's a stat for you. According to Forbes, consistent branding across all platforms actually can increase revenue by up to 23%. This is a study that was done in 2021. So whether it's personal or it's business, consistency is absolutely the key. So why does this matter and why does balance matter? Now, here's the interesting thing. If you're a coach or you're a consultant, a creative entrepreneur, or a service provider, you're likely building both a personal brand and you're building your business brand, whether you realize it or not. Here's the thing. Your personal brand builds trust and your business brand builds scalability. People may be drawn to you, the individual, but they buy into what you offer. So let me give you an example. Using myself, I'm Summer Vega, as you know, and my personal brand, I tend to use the handle Summer Crystal, which is my first and my middle name. And in my personal brand, I talk about communication strategy, but I also talk about my faith. I talk about my entrepreneurship journey, and I talk about my family life as a wife and then as a mom of a teenager who right now is 16, and then having a big gap, and I have a toddler who is 4, or I guess she's not so much toddler anymore, but a 4-year-old. So you get that. That's the essence of who I am. And when I lead with my personal brand, it encompasses all of those things that make up who I am. Now, I happen to run a public relations agency, Pocket PR, and I am the founder of Brilliant Brands Academy, which have their own brand entities, messaging and visual language. Pocket PR, Brilliant Brands Academy are two different things, but I have kind of mirrored the two or molded the two in some aspects that you may notice, especially if you look at my website, my social media pages, etc. Now, people tend to connect with me through my personal brand. And in that, they then are guided into the knowledge of what I do as a business. So it's a way to bridge the two together. Now, let's keep things cohesive on how you juggle both. Here are 5 strategies that I want to give you that you should keep in mind. The first one is to clarify your brand values. You want to make sure your personal values align with your business values. That's how you can mesh the two together. If you're all about authenticity and empowerment, that should show up in your messaging, and it also should show up in your customer experience on the business side. Number 2, use visual and verbal bridges. So while your personal and business brands can have distinct logos, they can have distinct color palettes, you can use similar fonts, similar tones, and a brand voice that ties them together. Now, as far as social media goes, for instance, I made the choice to build both my personal brand and my business brand separately on social media. I know that some businesses lead with the both together, and I get that. There was a sense of, okay, well, whichever platform or whichever handle has the most followers, that's the one that I'm going to use and just do it all in one. And I get that. But knowing the goals that I have for my business, where I eventually do want to step away, and I don't want to be the face of it all the time. I want to grow and expand in a place where other workers, other employees, other public relations professionals can jump on board and actually also be the face of my business. My goal is for my business to not only be about me. I am the founder, but I would love to have someone else be the CEO, the CFO, project managers, etc. And with that, in building a team, I welcome the idea that my business pages, my business presence has that overarching visual elements and the branding in and of itself, but the face of it is the entire team. So because of that, I have chosen to make a separate account on social media for my personal brand and a separate account for my business brand. And likewise, separate website for personal branding and a separate website for business branding, because my strategic plan and my goals for the long term is to be able to expand in this way. And then on the personal level, my goal is to expand my personal brand as a thought leader in the space of entrepreneurship, in the space of building faith, as well as offering personal coaching to other business leaders out there beyond just branding, also in personal growth and development. So I know that was a mouthful, but I kind of wanted to distinguish the two. And if you should decide to do it that way, and not everyone does, maybe you literally want to be that face of your business and you're cool with that. And that's okay, because you can be a solopreneur and be extremely successful in that space as the solopreneur, as the only face of your business. That is perfectly fine. But on my personal level, and my choice is that I do want other individuals to be welcome into the space of my business brand, where the two are completely separate. And then let's face it, one of my goals is to grow the business, to sell the business. You know what I'm saying? To make a profit by growing and then selling the business, which is why it's important for me to build my personal brand as well. All right. So number 3, create that brand ecosystem. Map out how your personal brand feeds into your business brand. For example, your personal brand gives you visibility, it gives you connection, and then your business brand focuses on your services, your products, the results, and the value that you have to offer. On my 2 different distinct levels, my personal brand, I share faithful nuggets. I share experiences with my family. I share a little bit of comedy of what's going on in my household, etc. But in my business brand, I tend to focus on providing a lot of value, where I'm giving tips, I'm giving tricks, I am promoting, obviously, my services, and I'm highlighting clients and testimonials and client wins, as well as client events. Also on my business branding side, if we have some media interest and I have a client who's on a television show or who's garnered a television interview, I'm gonna place that somewhere in my business brand, because that's a win. So I do have a client that was asked to come on Good Morning America, and I set that up for them. So of course, that's a client win. Now, I wouldn't necessarily put that on my personal page. Now, let me step back a minute. I may consider putting it on my personal page in the sense of putting it in my stories in Instagram, like behind the scenes in the day of the life, that kind of thing. But a lot of the focus on my client wins, etc., it goes on the business page, because I've segmented it that way. Okay. So in essence, if I could wrap it up in a nutshell, you're going to let each one, your personal brand and your business brand, do what it does best. So I've already kind of touched on this, but this 4th strategy is to be intentional on social media. According to Sprout Social, 70% of consumers feel more connected to a brand when the CEO is active on social media. So that was a study done in 2022. So on your business brand, you can show up as yourself, but always tie your content back to your brand's purpose. So there are times in social media, especially when it comes to Instagram, or well, I'll say everywhere. On Instagram, I'll have my business and my personal collab together and do a joint post. On other platforms like TikTok or Flip, as you all know, I love that new platform. I will repost the same content on both personal and business. Now, on Flip, it's just my personal branding. I will say that because it is a social media, shopping, review, etc. platform. So on Flip, I tend to focus on the personal branding, but there are a lot of videos that I've posted there that are consistent with things going on in my business as well. Okay, so the last strategy is to plan for growth. Ask yourself, can my business brand thrive if I step back from the spotlight for one day? Or like I just said, step back from the spotlight. Not totally, but share the spotlight. How about that? Can you step back from the spotlight for one day, or can you share the spotlight? That question will help you build systems and messaging that will allow for scalability and possibly team expansion down the line. So obviously, I've already said that that's my goal. I want to share the spotlight. I don't want to be the end all be all. Look, I'm trying to be like Nike or, all of them where you almost don't even know that I own the company. That's my goal. That's what I want, just to run the company and then just be a thought leader on my personal branding side. So let's pause here and let's ask a quick reflection question. You got your notebook, you got your notepads, and I want you to answer this. Is your personal brand leading people into your business brand? Or is it leading them into more of you? And you know what? Either way is okay. You just have to decide what is the purpose for each. Decide if you are a seamstress, for instance, or let's say a fashion designer or a stylist, you can have your personal brand really kind of mimic that fashion sense side of you. And you can have it build in a way that it does lead into your business branding. And it's okay. You can do that. Or you could be kind of like me, where both are completely separate, where my personal brand kind of has a sprinkling of my business. Because I can guarantee you, everyone who follows me, everyone who knows me, everyone who sees my content knows that I own a business in branding, public relations, graphic design. They know that by now. And that's why 90% of my clients come from word of mouth, because they know me personally. They know that this is what I do. I like to say that they have learned to know, like, and trust me, and therefore they're interested in the business and the services that I have to offer. So I want you to map it out. Does your brand lead people, your personal brand, lead them to your business brand? Or are you intentional about making the two separate with a sprinkling of a little bit in one or the other? And if there is a sprinkling of a little bit of one into the other, how does that work? What does that look like? What type of content do you blend together, and what type of content do you keep separate? All right, brilliant ones. That's a wrap on today's episode. Personal branding versus business branding and finding the balance between the two. I hope this gave you clarity on how to structure your brand identity and gave you some practical steps on things that you can do this week in regards to both the personal brand and the business brand. If you love this episode, go ahead, do me a favor, DM me your top takeaway on Instagram. Follow my personal brand at Summer Crystal. That's SommerCrystal, or Pocket PR. And don't forget, to subscribe, rate, and review our Brilliant Brands Academy podcast show. It helps so much. And if you're looking for deeper support, I encourage you, go ahead and check out Brilliant Brands Academy. I've got this 5-day accelerator coming up April 1st, and I'm super excited about it. I'll put a link to it in the show notes so that you can sign up today. It is our live teaching where I will be teaching you live on how to build brilliant brands. And it's an accelerator that's in 5 days at the lowest price that I have ever offered any type of teaching or coaching or access to me ever. That price is $500 and that's it. You're going to walk away with so much nuggets of information, and you're going to walk away with like a brand kit in hand and direction and strategy on how to build your brand. So please check this out. You don't want to miss it. All right, until next time, let's keep showing up, keep shining brilliantly, and keep building those brilliant brands. Take care.